Have you ever felt like you were carrying an invisible weight on your shoulders? A sense of being trapped, suffocated, as if invisible chains were holding you in place? Often, that burden has a name: emotional attachment. Now, imagine for a moment what it would be like to break free from that. To walk lighter, more centered, free to focus on what really matters. That's what we're going to talk about today. Inspired by the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and other great Stoic thinkers, we'll discover how detachment can become one of the greatest strengths in your life. If you're seeking clarity, inner peace, and emotional strength, you're in the right place. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this message with someone who needs to hear it. Let's begin. The first thing we need to understand is that attachment is not simply loving something or someone. It's the illusion that we need it to be complete. Detachment, therefore, is not coldness. It's freedom. It's letting go of what we can't control to embrace what truly matters, our own essence. Have you ever held a rope so tightly that your hands began to hurt, and still you were afraid to let go? Maybe it was a relationship, a friendship, a memory, or even an idea of success. But what happens when we finally let go? We discover that our hands are now free to grasp something new, something better. I learned this the hard way. I clung to a comfortable but stagnant relationship. I convinced myself it was safe, familiar. But inside, something was screaming. A call for growth, for freedom, for authenticity. It was only when I had the courage to let go that I began to notice how many opportunities were knocking at my door. And I wasn't listening. This kind of attachment has a name: fear. Fear of losing. Fear of missing out. It's like endlessly scrolling through social media, watching everyone else's highlights, thinking your life is at a standstill. But that's not the truth. What we see is a carefully crafted showcase, a theater of perfection. When you disconnect from that cycle of comparison and begin to live your own story, the fear of missing out loses its power over you. Not knowing what everyone is doing all the time is not ignorance. It's freedom. It's presence. It's focus on what really matters, you. Attachment to a false image of happiness is one of the greatest thieves of peace. When we believe we'll only be happy if we have what someone else has, we begin to chase mirages. The neighbor's grass seems greener, but it only looks that way because we're viewing it from afar. Up close, all grass has flaws. All have imperfections. This chase for idealized happiness puts us on an endless treadmill. You run, but never get anywhere. Because the image you're chasing isn't real. It's a hologram. Detachment isn't about giving up on happiness. It's about redefining it. It's about stopping the search for it outside yourself and starting to cultivate it within. And Stoicism teaches us this clearly. Focus only on what's within your control. Your thoughts, your actions, your decisions, your growth. When you understand that other people's opinions, a past relationship, or even the shine of social media have no power to define your worth, something changes. You become stronger. That awareness becomes your armor. It protects you from what doesn't matter and gives you strength to open up to the new, the real, the true. Remember, detachment is not the end. It's a new beginning. It's the courageous step toward the life you truly deserve. But why is detachment so important? Because excessive attachment hands over control of our happiness to others. It's like giving them the remote control of our emotions. They change the channel and suddenly we're sad, insecure, irritated. That's not freedom. That's emotional slavery. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means putting things in perspective, giving them the weight they truly deserve. Imagine your emotions are a ship. If this ship is anchored by too many weights, memories, people, expectations, it won't move. But if you start releasing those anchors one by one, the ship can finally set sail and explore new horizons. Stoicism teaches us just that. To lift the anchors that hold us back and sail with confidence, even in stormy seas. And how to start? First, identify what you're attached to. Could be someone, could be an idea, could be a wound from the past. Then, ask yourself, why is this still with me? Am I seeking validation? Am I afraid of loneliness? Am I repeating patterns that no longer serve me? The answer is the beginning of your liberation. Then, engage with what gives you purpose. Fill your time with what brings you closer to who you want to be. Practice gratitude. Meditate on what truly matters. Reflect on your values. This strengthens your roots. And deep roots do not fear strong winds. Over time, you'll realize you no longer need others' approval to feel good. That small moments bring great joy. That being with yourself is not lonely. It's sacred. This is the strength of detachment. It makes you more resilient. You stop being a drifting boat, dragged by every emotional wave, and become a conscious navigator who knows where they're going, even without controlling the sea. Now, let's understand something fundamental. Attachment is born from the ego. Deep down, we are beings of love. Pure, light, generous. Like a baby who smiles at the world without filters, without judgment. But as we grow, our ego starts taking the wheel. It wants security, control, approval. And thus attachments are born. Attachment is the ego's trap. It tells us we need something or someone to be happy, valued, complete. But this is a subtle and powerful lie. If we can look at our desires and relationships through the eyes of the soul, not the ego, we will see how many unnecessary burdens we carry. Attachments that distract us from our purest essence. Love. To love is not to cling. It's to trust. Trust that what is meant for you will come. That you are already enough. That your value is not tied to anyone, any status, any result. This is not illusion. This is abundance. And when you live with this awareness, you begin to let go of what was never truly yours. And then, something wonderful happens. The universe begins to return to you what truly matters. Authentic connections. Real opportunities. Inner peace. This is wise detachment. It is living with lightness. It is making room for the new without fear. Because you trust. Because you are anchored in yourself. Because you know your happiness begins within. Let's keep expanding on this together. Now imagine a life where your emotions are no longer hostage to others' actions. Where you don't need to cling to the past or to an idealized image of the future to feel peace. That life begins when you understand that your value lies not in anything external, but in what you cultivate within. Stoicism teaches us that we are free when we recognize that we do not control external events, only our reaction to them. And that understanding is transformative. When you let go of the need to control, you begin to live more lightly, with more presence, with more truth. But the ego, that silent and often deceptive companion, tries to convince you otherwise. It says you need that person, that job, that validation, and when it doesn't get it, it suffers. It feels rejected, diminished, incomplete. That's why the first step to true detachment is to recognize that the ego is not your enemy, but it's also not who you are. It is just a part of you, shaped by fear, past experiences, and society's expectations. And you can choose not to identify with it. Think about this. If everything you believe you need to be happy were taken away right now, would you still be you? The answer must be yes. Because what defines you is not what you have, but who you are when everything goes quiet. This clarity does not come overnight. It requires practice, awareness, daily choices. But each small choice is an act of courage. And little by little, you start to see the results. Less anxiety, more peace. Less dependence, more autonomy. Less attachment, more genuine love. Yes, genuine love. Because true love is born where there is freedom. It does not demand, it does not pressure, it does not imprison. It simply is. And you can only truly love when you understand that your happiness is not in anyone else's hands but your own. That's the paradox of detachment. The less you cling, the more space you create for what truly matters to flourish. Love, sincere connections, purpose, serenity. All this manifests when you are whole and not looking for something to complete you. So let's talk about how to practice this daily. Start with awareness. Observe your thoughts. What patterns repeat? Where does your ego tend to lead you? Does it seek comparison, validation, control? Just noticing this already takes you a long way toward liberation. Then, shift your focus to what depends on you. Feeling anxious because someone didn't reply? Return to yourself. Breathe. Meditate. Read something that inspires you. Feeling insecure because you saw someone succeeding online? Remember, that's a highlight reel, not reality. Return to your path. Reinforce your values. Practice gratitude. Every day, even on hard days, especially on them. Gratitude is one of the most powerful antidotes to attachment, because it teaches you to value what is already present instead of longing for what is absent. Seek to serve. That's right. When we put ourselves in service of others with words, gestures, or presence, we step out of ego and access something greater. There is no deeper healing than extending a hand to someone who needs it, even when you're also healing. And finally, accept. Accept that life is impermanent, that everything changes, that everything passes, that what you have today may not be there tomorrow, and that's okay. Because what truly matters cannot be taken from you. Your essence, your presence, your inner strength. This is the heart of Stoicism. Serenity in the face of what we cannot change, and courage to transform what is within our reach. And by applying this, you begin to experience an emotional freedom that few know. You become resilient, capable of facing loss, change, and challenges with a firm heart. Not because it doesn't hurt, but because you've learned not to define yourself by the pain. You become whole. And being whole, everything that comes is a bonus, not a necessity. You love without dependency, dream without attachment, live with intensity, but without chains. Now, think about all the times you believed you weren't enough, that you needed to be more, have more, please more. That thought, so common, is fueled by an illusion created by the ego, that your worth depends on external validation. But true worth comes from within. It's in how you treat others, in your integrity, in your ability to get back up when you fall, to keep going even when there's no applause. It's easy to believe that happiness is tied to the presence of someone in our lives, that we'll only be whole when we're with that person. But that chains us, limits us, diminishes us. Imagine a bird that believes it needs another wing to fly. It will never try to spread its own. But the sky is there waiting, and it was born with everything it needs to reach it. Detachment is exactly that flight. It's realizing that you can fly on your own, that your sky is vast, open, full of possibilities, and that the love that truly transforms is the one that begins within you. It's not about closing your heart or denying feelings. On the contrary, it's about loving with maturity, surrendering to the present with lightness, understanding that everything that comes to teach, and everything that goes too. Stoicism invites us to live with this awareness, to focus on what we can control, our thoughts, our actions, our choices. By doing this, we find not just peace but power, a calm, quiet, but unshakable power. And when you cultivate this inner power, you become an anchor. No one else can control your emotions. No one else can dictate your happiness. You become the captain of your own ship. That is the gift of detachment. A life lived with purpose, serenity, and freedom. Let's continue this journey. The process of detachment, while powerful, is not without its challenges. It's an emotional journey, sometimes lonely, but deeply transformative. With each layer of attachment we shed, we reveal more of our true essence, one that is resilient, compassionate, and aware of its own value. Many confuse detachment with indifference. They think it means stopping feeling, becoming cold. But nothing could be further from the truth. Detachment is, in fact, an act of love, self-love. It's deciding that you will no longer be a prisoner of others' expectations, past pain, or paralyzing fears. It's choosing, every day, to live more lightly. Sometimes, attachment disguises itself as care. You convince yourself you're being loyal, committed, but deep down you're just afraid. Afraid of losing, of being alone, of not being enough. And fear is not a solid foundation for love. Fear demands. True love frees. That's why it's essential to observe your feelings honestly. When you feel that pain in your chest, that knot in your stomach, don't run. Sit with it. Breathe. Ask yourself, what exactly am I holding on to so tightly? And why? The answers will come, and with them the chance to let go. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or erasing. It means accepting, honoring what was, learning from what hurt, and moving forward stronger. The past is part of you, but it doesn't define you. And the future is not a place to rush to, it's something built with presence. It's in that presence that true growth happens. When you stop resisting what is and begin to welcome the moment with openness. You learn to see beauty even in the small things. A warm coffee, a sunset, a sincere conversation. Moments like these aren't small, they're immense when we're aware. Detachment also teaches us to trust that life knows what it's doing, that everything has a time, that what is truly yours will never be lost, that what leaves is often a gift disguised as loss. But this trust takes practice. It means remembering this when things don't make sense. Takes faith. Not blind faith, but faith built on experience. How many times did something that seemed like the end reveal itself as a new beginning? How many times did a closed door force us to create our own exit, and it turned out even better? That is the wisdom of Stoicism, to accept reality as it is, without complaint, without resistance, and to do the best with what we have. To understand that adversity is not a punishment, but an invitation to grow, that every challenge is an opportunity to strengthen our soul. And when you start seeing life through this lens, something shifts deeply. You stop fighting the flow and start sailing with it. You stop depending on the external and begin to nurture the internal. You stop begging for emotional scraps and start feeding yourself with what you build. That is emotional maturity. It is autonomy. It is freedom. It is also a path of healing. Healing is not erasing scars, but learning to live with them with dignity. It is looking at pain without shame. It is recognizing that you survived, and that today you are stronger, more whole, more true. This healing process involves recognizing your real needs, not those imposed by fear or society. You need peace, not approval. You need meaning, not perfection. You need connection, not applause. And it all begins within you. Of course, there will be setbacks, moments of doubt, a desire to go back, to relive what has passed. That's part of it. But each time you choose to move forward, even with fear, you're strengthening your detachment muscle. You're teaching yourself that it is possible to live without depending on what once held you back. Stoicism reminds us of something essential. Everything is temporary.
Emocions, moments, asses.
And if everything passes, why cling to what's gone? Why insist on carrying weights that no longer make sense? Detachment is not devaluation. It's recognizing that the cycle has ended. It's honoring the journey, thanking the lessons, and making space for the new. Because only those who have the courage to empty their hands can grow. And this new, when it arrives, brings with it a peace that doesn't depend on circumstances, a joy that needs no reason, a freedom that cannot be bought. You begin to live with more clarity. Your choices align with your values. Your relationships become more authentic. You attract what resonates with your new frequency and distance what no longer does. This is the silent power of detachment. It transforms without noise. It frees without drama. It heals in subtlety. And so, without realizing it, you become a lighthouse. Your light inspires others to release their anchors too. Your example shows that it is possible to live with an open heart and at the same time light, aware, whole. You become not just someone who lives detachment, but someone who teaches, who guides, who inspires. And all of this because one day you had the courage to let go of that rope. By making it this far, you've already walked a long road of awareness and transformation. And maybe now you're beginning to realize that detachment is not about giving up on things, but about letting go of what keeps you from being who you truly are. It's understanding that inner peace doesn't depend on what's outside, but on what you build inside. It's stopping the search for completeness in others and finding it in yourself. When you feel whole, everything that comes from outside adds but does not define. This doesn't mean you'll stop loving, dreaming, or connecting. On the contrary, it means you'll do all of it with more freedom, more lightness, more truth. You'll be present in your relationships, in your projects, in your moments, without carrying the weight of dependency or expectation. You'll become the gardener of your own life, cultivating with patience, watering with presence, pruning with wisdom, and trusting that, regardless of what blooms or fades, your garden will remain a fertile place of peace, purpose, and authenticity. Stoicism reminds us, we are passengers in this world. Everything we have today might be gone tomorrow, and that's okay, because the only thing that truly belongs to us is how we choose to live each moment. Our attitude, our perspective, our spirit. So don't cling to illusions. Don't hold on to what hurts. Don't carry burdens that aren't yours. Let go. Free yourself. Breathe. And move forward. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You don't have to conquer the world to be happy. You just need to be true to yourself, cultivate your truth, and walk with courage. Always remember, your worth does not depend on the presence or absence of anyone. It's not in likes, in comments, in visible achievements. Your worth is in your essence, in your silence, in your peace. You are enough. You are capable. You are light. And if you've made it this far, it's because within you there is an indomitable strength, a spirit that seeks growth, truth, and liberation. You are walking a path of awareness, and that is something few have the courage to do. Keep going, even when it's hard, even when it feels lonely, even when the world says otherwise, because each step you take is an act of self-love. Each choice you make is a declaration of your freedom. Each present moment is an opportunity for rebirth. By applying these Stoic principles in your daily life, focusing on what you can control, letting go of what you can't, living with clarity and intention, you don't just transform your own life but inspire others around you to do the same. You become an example, a reference, a beacon. Never underestimate the impact your journey has on the world. Your decision to detach from limiting patterns, toxic relationships, unfounded fears, is also a decision to live in peace, to live with purpose, to live with truth. So move forward with confidence. Let love guide your steps, not fear. Let wisdom shape your choices, not fleeting emotions. Let inner silence be your greatest counselor. And whenever you need direction, return to the principles of Stoicism. They'll be there, firm, serene, ready to remind you of what truly matters. Thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing yourself to grow. Thank you for being light. If this message resonated with you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who also needs to hear it. And to show your commitment to this journey of transformation, comment below, I'm ready to sail freely. Your presence here is valuable. Your journey is inspiring. And the best is yet to come. Until next time, and remember, true transformation begins within you.